Oh, shiny. Hello there, my friends. I'm recording this edition of the Nintendo News Roundup stupidly early. It is actually Wednesday evening at the time of this recording, and I am doing it this early because I'm heading out on a little vacation, taking a little time to myself this weekend. It's going to be a lot of fun, so sorry if there's not a whole ton of news in here. I mean, there kind of is. Whatever. I guess we'll see. Let's read the news. Okay, so the big news that was just breaking last week was the Gigaleak. Have you heard of this Gigaleak? You've heard of this Gigaleak. It was a really big deal. Basically just another one of those big giant leaks that somebody got some information from somewhere, and it's got a lot of information that Nintendo probably didn't actually mean to get into our hands. I'll talk more about that concept in a bit. But basically, people have unearthed a whole bunch of like super early prototype alpha builds of various Nintendo games. And like I said, last week, the story was breaking as I was recording the video, so all I had seen so far was like a couple things. One was like Yoshi's Island with some early like placeholder Super Mario World assets. But since then, this has broken open so huge. It's been going on because people have been digging through the data, and they've had to compile the data into these prototypes and into these various assets to find out what they are. It's a pretty fascinating process. And the funny thing is, I could not possibly cover all of the interesting stuff here. This is something you're just gonna have to, if you haven't already, you're just gonna have to go check yourself, because the, I don't know, just the interesting stuff is, very numerous, is very substantial. I mean, we got loads of Super NES games, loads of N64 games. I would say that there are two personal highlights for me that I would like to discuss. One is, L is real. I'm saying those words, L is real. In case you were not aware, people have been, it's almost like an urban legend at this point. People have been wondering if they can find any trace of a playable Luigi within Super Mario 64. They even went as far as to take this weird texture on this stone, and no one can really tell what it says or what it's supposed to say. Is it gibberish, or is this like a really low res, image of some text or something? So some people thought that this says L is real 2401. Here's the thing. Okay, so they've uncovered these prototype builds of Super Mario 64, and they found him. It's not in the base game, but here in this prototype, they found Luigi. They've compiled his model, how he would look, and all that stuff, and it's incredible. It's been such a long journey getting here and discovering that L was indeed real. Here's where it gets wacky, though. Just wacky. Super Mario 64 came out 24 years and 1 month ago. 2401. Wow, what? Even more, if you add up the number, I can't remember where I saw this. I saw this in a couple different tweets, so I'm sorry if I'm not crediting whoever originally came up with this with this whole thing. But you add up 2 and 4 and 0 and 1, you get 7. And then if you add up 24 and 01, you get 25. 7/25, the date that everyone discovered L was real. That's some mind-blowing stuff right there, man. This is some weird X-Files type stuff here. So that's super interesting, mind-blowingly interesting. And then there's a bunch of other stuff, there's uncompressed placeholder audio. I don't know, it's a whole thing. Like I said, it's a whole thing. So that was one highlight for me. Another is that they found information showing that at one point, a Chinese company called IQ pitched to Nintendo the idea of a Pokemon MMO. This was way back in 2004. These would have been based on Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green, borrowing some code from Pokemon Coliseum. There would be an offline portion that you could play on your Game Boy Advance, but then you could plug your Game Boy Advance into the PC to play it online with the GBA acting as the controller. And Kotaku reported on all this. Depending on where you lived, information like Pokemon distribution and weather would change each time you logged on. That is so cool. It is still Very upsetting that after all these years, Nintendo themselves, Game Freak and all that, haven't made something that cool and that ambitious. Some really big online connected MMO style thing. I could go on about that for ages, but it's just very interesting that at some point a company actually pitched that kind of thing to Nintendo, and it would have used like the GBA games. Like that would have been a real trip seeing that kind of thing, but with the, you know, with those graphics. So that's interesting. Problem with this whole leak thing, and a lot of other much more eloquent and intelligent people than me have brought this up and discussed this whole thing. But as usual, these leaks are not acquired legally. They are usually leaked on purpose by someone who should not have been doing it. They are hacked from servers or whatever. I have not been able to find the exact details of this whole thing, how it came about. But there's no doubt Nintendo's not happy. And the thing is, there was so much information in this Gigaleak, including a lot of like personal information and stuff that really should not have gotten out there. And so it's a bit of a moral quandary. You want to say, we shouldn't support this, we should not give it any attention, but it's like, then the information is out there, what are you just gonna do, ignore it? Because we base all of our view on these games and on the company on this information, and it's like, if the information is there, it's hard to not look at it, and if you're not gonna talk about it in a video or whatever, like I am right now, then somebody else will, or everybody else will. So it's kind of like, how do you protect information like that? Once the information is out, it's hard, because you feel kind of bad, because this stuff should not have been leaked, but then like, I still want to talk about it, L is real. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I don't even have like a very smart thing to say about it. Maybe we all just say this to like make ourselves feel better or something. Maybe I just like, as long as I mention how, oh, you know, leaks are bad and they shouldn't, no one should be hacking and all that stuff. As long as I say that, then I can just move forward talking about it and not feel any guilt or anything. Everybody wins, except for Nintendo. Of course, though, it also brings up the idea of game preservation. It's a little sad that Nintendo is so secretive about this stuff. When they have this information that doesn't hurt anybody, doesn't harm any of their products or anything, just to see what the games used to look like early in development. It's just interesting to us, and it's sad that we're so crazy about it, but Nintendo is so unwilling to share any of it. This is historical stuff here. Like, video games are an art, and they're a very young art, and some of these games are like landmark games. Super Mario 64, you know, like, this is the kind of information that should be in some kind of special video game museum or something, and yet we can't even find out about it unless someone like hacks Nintendo servers and takes it by force. So it's pretty frustrating, and it does, I don't know, it does bring up a whole conversation of like, why is Nintendo so secretive? It sure would be nice if they weren't. This is all information that should be appreciated and preserved and all that good stuff. So that's that. That's the Gigaleak. I guess I should move on from there. On Saturday, the 25th of July, Pokemon Go saw its highest grossing day since the launch of the game back in 2016. This is thanks to an event called Pokemon Go Fest, which costs $14.99 to join, which is a really genius thing, if you ask me. Like, I don't know, like, specifically, like, how to get people to spend in a game, what kind of microtransactions work, which ones are ideal, but, like, having just an event that happens, it's that FOMO thing. You don't want to miss out. It's fun. It's happening over the course of 2 days. $15 to get in. Of course it's worth it, because you're having fun with everybody else. And so with a game with such a high install base, that generated a lot of revenue. They made $8.9 million just in one day, and the previous day they made $8.6 million. So even after all this time, I'd say especially after all this time, Pokemon Go still raking in the money, and it's impressive. So as you've probably heard me complain about plenty of times by now, Kensuke Tanabe did an interview with the Video Games Chronicle, where he told us that with Paper Mario games, he is working with specific creative limitations on what they are allowed to do with characters in the Mario universe. He talked about how he can't create new characters or modify old characters that specifically reference like Mario races and characters and things like that. It's a big thing. I did a whole video on it. It's quite upsetting that they are putting any creative limitations on themselves, but of course that's a big conversation I've already had and will continue to have in other videos because I just blab about things that are interesting to me again and again and again. That's just what you get when you sign up to Arlo stuff, buddy. Anyway, he did another interview recently with Games Radar, and he kind of went into the same subject again, giving us, I don't know, even more specific kind of clarification. He said the following: "From the production of Paper Mario Sticker Star onwards, we were no longer able to graphically represent individual characteristics such as age, gender, etc. in the Toad NPCs, and so it has become that much more important to convey their personalities simply through text. Our writer, Mr. Taro Kudo, has been grappling with this difficult challenge since Paper Mario Sticker Star, but has managed to achieve giving all the text a sense of humor. In this installment, Paper Mario the Origami King, we were able to include some Toads wearing an outfit to match their role, and also created original origami characters." Again, if you heard my discussion about the other interview, it really goes along the same lines. It's always frustrating to read something like this, and he's saying, like, we can't anymore. Okay, why though? Who made that rule? That's kind of ridiculous. And like, seeing them try to, like saying that their writer is struggling. Why do you have to struggle with anything, with a problem that you created for yourself? And like, oh, this time we were allowed to have costumes. Who made that rule? Was there a rule that you couldn't before and now you could? Like, I don't understand it. Anyway, I'm not supposed to go into the whole entire thing right now. But there you go. That's another quote from Kensuke Tanabe to make you mad if you're anything like me. And speaking of Paper Mario Origami King, last week we talked about how there is a game-breaking bug in the game where if you go to a certain area and you give someone a thing that lets you get into the area, but then you leave instead of going in and you save, you can never get in because they don't realize that you've given them the thing. It's all a specific thing, but it can lock your game permanently. Fortunately, Nintendo has publicly addressed the issue, and they claim that they are going to be coming up with a fix pretty soon. I don't know if that's just going to fix the game itself, or if that is somehow going to fix people's save files that have been locked. Will it prevent the problem, or will it fix the problem? Hopefully, obviously, they fix the entire thing, even for people who have had the problem. So it is nice that they have addressed it, and they are working on it, and end of news item. So news, as it often does, very suddenly dropped about the next giant update in Animal Crossing, and it actually announced and then released super fast. They announced it. Hey guys, they just announced an Animal Crossing update. Next news item. Hey guys, the Animal Crossing update just went through, and they added some cool stuff. They added in fireworks shows are going to be happening. They brought back the Dream feature, where you can go to sleep in your bed and visit other people's islands through Dream, and you can upload your own island that people can visit. So it's like a way of visiting an island without being able to destroy anything, I guess. It's just a fake Dream version. That is not a feature that I dove into, and I guess that was in New Leaf, and it might have hit the game. Was that available in an update too? I don't remember messing with that a lot. But it's cool that it is back, like most features that were in previous games and are not in it now. It is back now. It is all managed by a character named Luna, and I just love new characters. I don't know. I love just different kinds of animals and different kind of I don't know, I just think it's fun. New character, her name's Luna. And perhaps most excitingly and most unexpectedly, this update brings the ability to back up your island. They did it. I didn't know how long it was gonna take. No one did, but they just kind of did it, and it's just kind of a part of this update. You still can't transfer your island to another Switch, which is annoying. Apparently that ability is still coming. That is still coming later within 2020. But at the moment, you can just upload your island and back it up. You still need a Nintendo Switch Online subscription, which, again, I've talked about this whole thing. This stuff should have been there in the first place. It should not require an online subscription, yada, yada, yada. But fortunately, at least now, we can back up our islands if we have Nintendo Switch Online. In other less important but more heartwarming Animal Crossing news, somebody left their Switch in a hotel room at the Hilton Garden Inn, and apparently one of the people that worked there found it turned it on, make sure that it was properly saved so that it didn't run out of battery and lose them some progress, and then even updated the game for them. Just made sure that everything was all right for them when they got their Switch back. Even wrote them this little note with this adorable little picture. Feel-good story of the year right there. Thank you, Hilton Garden Inn. That is service right there. Service with a smile. And we actually have two cutesy, feel-good Animal Crossing related news stories here. Apparently the Tokyo Fire Department has started using Animal Crossing as a way to tweet out various safety information. Basically just different safety tips for residents. They even like set up all these little relevant pictures and use it to tweet them out, and that's adorable. That's just cute. I love it. Somebody put a lot of care into that. Somebody who works at a fire department. I mean, like, maybe they hired someone to do this. I suppose that's possible. That kind of job does exist. But I like to think it's just some, like, grizzled 65-year-old warden. Is there a fire warden? I don't know anything about firefighting, but he's just sitting at a desk, and he's just on his Switch, and he's got this big, bushy eyebrows, and he's just hunkered down, and he's just like, let's put a table here, put the radio on the, put the hat, oh yeah, put the fan, that's adorable. And then he writes out these tweets, and that's the only reality that I will accept. And then he's done, and he sends the tweet, and he's like, yeah, oh wait, I gotta pick my peaches, I forgot. They're ripe, I gotta get those peaches, get them grown again. And finally, Nintendo introduced this whole weird game voucher system that I'm only just now being reminded of. Where you could purchase vouchers for games. I still not 100, but they explained it in a Nintendo Direct or something. I'm still not 100% how it works. It's like pre-buying a game. You can use vouchers on the games. Point is, though, these vouchers were only valid for 1 year, meaning that the ones issued in July last year for this whole promotion, they're expiring. So I don't know, if you have any game vouchers, you gotta go and buy some games with them now, because at the end of July, which will have happened, I'm just now realizing by the time this is posted. Okay, new news story. Hey, remember game vouchers? Do you have any left that you didn't spend? Too late! You didn't spend them in time. They're not valid anymore, and I'm very sorry. Well, that, my friends, is it for this edition of the Nintendo News Roundup. I'm very pleased that you were able to join me today. I always love it when you swing on by and listen to me gab about Nintendo stuff. Now, I'm going to take this audio that I just recorded, I'm going to send it to Kane, and then I'm going to go to sleep, and I'm going to wake up, and I'm going to jump in my car, and I'm going to hightail it over to the coast. I'm going to sit on the beach, I'm going to eat ice cream, and no one can stop me. I am on fire. I am so excited. I'm going to go. I'm doing it now. I'm walking over the microphone, and I'm going to turn it off, and I'm going to go on vacation, and I'm going to eat a hamburger. I'm going to eat the biggest, I'm going to drive all around, up and down the coast, up and down Highway 101, and I will find a restaurant with the biggest hamburger I possibly can, and I will say, give me 2 of them! Vacation! Whoa! Whoa!